Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. So today we're discussing the Tudor Black Bay. This is the core model, the 41mm piece, in-house caliber, latest generation with the Master Chronometer METAS certification. It's got the T-fit clasp extension and the watch on a strap, form in which we rarely see it, so we're going to get a bit of a different experience today. In steel, the watch, of course, 41mm in diameter. Going to demonstrate now that it is actually thinner than you think it is. The watch measuring, as I gauge, 13.8mm thick and 49.4 from lug tip to lug tip. It's got a broad 21mm spacing between the lugs, which confirms that although this watch is vintage inspired, the standard 41mm Black Bay is really feeling more and more like the modern Black Bay, whereas the 58 and the 54 are a little bit more hardcore vintage inspired. So this watch is a modern sports watch in a vintage inspired package. Best way to look at it. The watch, of course, featuring no extension of end link past lug, so that measurement from lug tip to lug tip, the 49.4, that is what you're actually getting here. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it actually takes up all the real estate. So I'm going to recommend this watch for a wrist my size or larger, so 16 centimeters circumference or larger. I mentioned the watch wasn't as thick as I thought. I was thinking more like 15 millimeters. 13.8 is quite slim, actually, given all that's inside the case. And you can see with the cupped case back, once it's actually on your wrist, it sits lower than its measured thickness, so it will fit underneath most cuffs and all jacket sleeves. The strap. The strap is very modern, and maybe Tudor's been looking for the last couple of years at companies making aftermarket rubber straps for its models and come to the conclusion that it can do a little bit better. So we get this end link that mates the strap to the case and gives it a very integrated look. Like these things were designed this way at the factory because they were. The strap has a little bit of a taper to it. You can see it's got a matted finish, a little central spline that adds some visual articulation on the bottom. You can see that we've got a little motif recognizing the famous snowflake style Tudor Submariner hand, and in fact you can see it right there on the dial, and that's on both sides. And the strap does have a few pre-scored sections. If you want to cut it to length, that can be done, and we're definitely going to help you with that. Rest assured there's a couple of different strap lengths. We can find the one that fits you. The clasp is well made. You can see thick gauge single swing arm. My favorite feature here is the use of these ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps. You see how these work? And then you've got them on the interfaces of the clasp interface as well. The idea being that no matter how many times you close and open this, no matter how many times you lock the clamshell, the steel will never be able to wear down those ceramic pin snaps. So a steel watch, yes, and a steel clasp, but it will always have snappy closure and opening action. Taking a look at the clasp, we have the T-fit system here. Now this gives you incremental, roughly 8mm adjustment tool-free. So the way this works is you lift it and you slide it back and forth. If you want to go out all the way, you can use it to extend over a diving suit. If you just want to fine-tune the fit, you can use that to get a measured match for your wrist. I will say that the previous Tudor clasps felt like they were a little bit heavier in construction, but with this T-fit, you definitely have a lot more adjustability, and it can be done tool-free, so that is a great advantage over the previous clasps. Rolling around to the case, very simple. The lugs, of course, we have that machine-applied bevel, a nod to the era when Rolex and Tudor used the same cases, literally both using Rolex cases with hand bevels. Now, Rolex bevels have begun to make a comeback recently, but at Tudor, they never went away. And so this is a love letter to that era. Case flank is polished, lug hoods are satin. You can see that we have a Tudor Rose logo on the crown and then a Tudor Shield logo on the dial. Rose was the original pre-1968 logo, and then from about mid-68 forward, Tudor used the Shield logo. We have an anodized aluminum insert in the bezel because the Black Bays are a little bit more vintage inspired than the Pelagos. So what we've got is a aluminum insert designed to look more like a vintage insert, and that it definitely does. The bezel We'll count just so you know, but it is 60 click, but you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's very sharp. It has a satisfying detent. We have a micro knurling that is itself quite sharp, easy to grip with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. Screw down crown, 200-meter water resistance. This is a real dive watch. Let's take a look at it in the dark. Now you can see all 3 hands loomed and the bezel reference that allows you to time your dive. It's good to have a reference for operation in the dark. A lot of dive watches, and this baffles me, they don't have an illuminated running seconds hand. So how do you know away from the light of the surface that your backup dive timer is working? Well, with Tudor, you don't have that problem. So you can see a dial. It's got a couple of different elements. The Snowflake Submariners came later than the no-guard Tudor Submariners. So this watch is a little bit of a imaginary what-if watch. So we've got the Snowflake handset. Then we have the earlier chapter ring style dials with gilt or gold style printing on the base. And we have gold-plated hands and indices. The applique indices are far more upscale than what you would have seen on Tudor subs in the 50s and 60s. So this is still a luxury watch. We have this bubble-like sapphire designed to look like a plexi. And then we do have a hacking or stop seconds functions. You could set the watch to the second against a reference time. Screw that down. People always ask, what does the case back look like? Well, the case back looks like this. There's not much to see, but inside we have a Tudor manufacturer movement. We have the 7641A1A0RU-0002 automatic 70-hour power reserve, bidirectional winding, I believe ceramic ball bearing rotors, 4 Hz beat rate. You have the stop seconds function. You also have durability features, a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance, then anti-magnetism, courtesy of a silicone hairspring. And this watch is a master chronometer, not a COSC chronometer, though it meets those standards. Master chronometer, previously an Omega exclusive, is an open standard. Anyone can Maytas certify a watch. It's just expensive to do so. Tudor has gone that extra mile. So it's a 6-position, fully cased-up watch chronometry test, but also durability, winding efficiency, power reserve, water resistance. It is a much more accomplished chronometer certification, and this watch is a much more accomplished chronometer. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.